This 2024 Formula One Prop Bets edition of the F1 Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by KUTT. KUTT is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head to KUTT.com, that's KUTT.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. Get ready for speed.
You just wait, sunshine. You just wait.
Get ready for the passion.
To whom it may concern you.
Get ready for the raw emotion.
Sì, ragazzi! Grazie, grazie, grazie! Dai, forza Ferrari!
Get ready for the F1 Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb. It has been a little while, but we are back. It is the F1 Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. As always, he's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. I know that we have just come out of the off season for NASCAR, but unfortunately, we still have some time to wait until F1 decides it wants to get a move on, which is frustrating in and of its own right, because we have racing back, Cody, but we don't have it all. And I want F1 to hurry up and have an earlier start in life. But you got to unmute yourself first.
Sorry, first time on the show here. We're in full mid-season form now. It is awesome to have NASCAR back. We had our first race this past weekend. Obviously, we love that. But F1, IndyCar, I want it all. Once we get into March and we've got, all three NASCAR series, we got these two things going on. Things are just going to be so much better. I cannot wait. We're getting closer. We've got some testing at the end of this month. And then at the end of this month is when the Bahrain weekend will start and we'll finally be in it. Luckily, we covered last episode some head-to-head win totals, and we were complaining that there was only, teammates pitched up against each other, and the books fixed that for us. So shout out to them. We appreciate it. Now we have other head-to-heads to talk about. Luckily nothing else has been going on in the F1 world. Everything's been just really quiet. No big news. No crazy stories either.
Thank God for that, because I don't know how we'd keep up if there was a whole bunch of stuff going on. But, oh, wait, hold on. There is a gigantic announcement. And it's funny. So as many of you guys listen to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast know, I was on my Army weekend this weekend, and I got a buddy that he's the only one that I can even talk at all with anything to, because he follows F1, and he comes up to me the other day. He goes, "Hey man, so something big, right?" And I was like, "Dude." So I'm telling you right now, this is kind of big. We kind of felt this coming, right? There was speculation. People had said that this has been a talk for a very, very long time, but it is, I think, pretty much official, right? It is official. Yeah, Lewis Hamilton.
Officially official now. Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari next year. Of course, he'll have the lame duck year with Mercedes this year, which, as you go through any type of racing, that's always an interesting, transition. And Toto said all the right words, and, they're not upset with him and all this and that. But, it's one of those things of where, do you just go all in on him and you try to get one more with him at Mercedes? Do you already start looking to the future and shove everything George's way? You would hope, obviously. It's a guy that's done what he's done with Mercedes, obviously. Most of his world, I think didn't he win the first two with McLaren, I think, but 5 championships, I believe, with Mercedes, all the victories, everything he's done for that program. So one of those things where, we've been seeing it. I guess we've always seen it through sports, right? And it's just more prevalent now, but you go back to the days and the Joe Montanas leave and the Jerry Rices leave, that as a 49er fan, of course, and Peyton Manning goes to Denver and Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay to bring in the football analogies. And even in the Cup Series, we haven't always seen it, right? Obviously, Dale Earnhardt's career was cut short, so he stayed with RCR really for most of his career. And guys like Gordon and Johnson finished out there. Well, just kidding. No, they haven't, because Jimmy Johnson is now racing for a different team, right? So even so we see it so many times, and every kid grows up, especially back in the day, wanting to race in the Ferrari red. Lewis Hamilton, no different, gets the opportunity, jumps at the opportunity. It's going to be interesting, but I think that, hopefully we still see a nice solid season from him this season with Mercedes. They can finish things on a strong note. Maybe he grabs one more win for him. That could be a big deal before he dons the red, which is going to be just so different to see. It's going to take some getting used to, for sure. You already see, like, the pictures floating around of him in the in the uniform, like they always do with everyone. This is what he's going to look like in the Ferrari red, and it doesn't look natural.
No, it does not. And honestly, when you look at that storied history and just the fact that Mercedes they've been looking for that edge that, they were the ones that kept up with Red Bull for the last couple of seasons. I think of all the teams, they were the ones that were poised to do it. They were the ones that continued to be just sort of nipping at Red Bull's heels. Now you put a guy like Lewis Hamilton, who in Mercedes equipment was also nipping at his heels. And it's not a huge drop off between Mercedes and Ferrari, as we talked about too. I mean, those two were probably closer than any of the two were to Red Bull at the time. So we're all curious to see how this is going to shape up. And that Mercedes team with Leclerc and Hamilton now, that's a powerhouse team.
What a power duo too. Like, I mean, obviously Leclerc is one of the better younger drivers out there, and he's really cemented his place at Ferrari and lived up to, so far, a lot of the expectations. And now you're going to add, one of, if not the greatest F1 drivers in history to pair up with him. That'll be interesting to see how they mesh, and hopefully, Leclerc doesn't take that too much of put too much pressure on him, of course. But man, we've been talking about it for a couple of seasons now. But if Ferrari just stays out of their own way, they are so dangerous. They've been dangerous throughout the history of the sport. And so to see two of the most iconic things in F1 history coming together in Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton, again, it's going to take some getting used to. It's going to be different. But I think it has the potential to be a powerful combination, obviously starting in 2025, as we still have this season, where I'm excited to see the F1 Netflix. I don't know why I can't Drive to Survive. I can't ever remember the name, but I'm excited to see the next. Of course, we still have this season coming up from last year, but I'm excited to see the next season of Drive to Survive and how things kind of go with the transition and being in the lame duck year.
Carlos Sainz says, news about my future will be announced in due course. Well, we'll see what that due course is. We'll see what that means. Does he go to Mercedes? Is it a 1-for-1 swap? Is that?
Yeah, I think the possibilities there. I will say I don't know all the inner workings of, who's kind of got relationships and everything. But I think it would make sense to do that. Sainz is going to be on the grid still somewhere. We know how talented he is and how good of a driver he is. One of those situations where you can't really pass up on the chance to bring in Lewis Hamilton. So sorry, buddy, you're good, but we have to take this opportunity. He'll still have a season to prove himself this year, and that's if he doesn't. He may already have signed something already or have something in the works where he doesn't need to prove it anyways. But I think he'll definitely prove that he continues to deserve a spot on the grid. But it'll be interesting to see where he lands. And man, silly season, wasting no time getting started. We're still a month away from the first race, and here we are already with some of the biggest silly season news we've had in a few years.
You got to think. I mean, maybe even a team like Aston Martin decides they're ready to go ahead and move on from. I mean, look, Alonso's not getting any younger. We're talking 2020, the 2026 or 2025 season rather is when they'll start. Maybe that operation goes away a little bit, or maybe Lance Stroll gets replaced and Aston. I mean, I doubt it.
I don't know if that happens, but
I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of teams that are probably licking their chops over a guy like Carlos Sainz because they've seen what he can do. So it's just
absolutely he'll have a spot on the grid. I think, no doubt.
Yeah, it's just a matter of where. Mercedes makes a lot of sense, but it's also, sort of a crazy, man, this is going to be a crazy, crazy off season coming into.
Yeah, good to be a crazy season within the season already, I think.
Yeah, can't wait to watch all of it play out. But we'll talk about that season when it starts to come around. Let's focus on this season coming up and the odds. Like Cody said, we've got some stuff to go by that are not team related. So we'll do that. But let me tell you first about DraftKings. Are you looking for a super offer for Super Bowl 58? Well, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. New customers can bet on the big game and turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets. As we know, my San Francisco 49ers taking on, ironically enough, my brother's Kansas City Chiefs for the second time in a few years here. If you are looking for some action on it, DraftKings has you covered. The Niners right now, 2-point favorites over the Chiefs. If you want to look at the total, 47.5 is what the number is set at. And of course, if you want the San Francisco money line, that's minus 125. The Chiefs are at plus 105. Several prop bets to bet on as well, including touchdown scorers. You want a touchdown scoring prop? You got Christian McCaffrey at minus 200 or 220 for an anytime. You got Isaiah Pacheco at minus 130. You got Travis Kelce at minus 110 for an anytime. Deebo Samuel plus 130. The list goes on and on and on. So much to get down on DraftKings Sportsbook. Make sure you get over there. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code SGP. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58 with code SGP. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. You know we love us some Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. You got NFL, NBA, NHL. You got NASCAR. You got F1, all that great stuff. Simply pick higher or lower on your favorite fantasy players' fantasy stats and cash in. You can win 100x with some spicy plays. I'm looking at the Super Bowl, and I'm looking specifically at Christian McCaffrey. His rushing and receiving touchdowns line is set at 1.5. Smash the higher, then it's a spicy play. You know the dude's going to get in the end zone. He's probably going to get in several times. So make sure you smash the higher than on the Underdog pick and play for Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns in receiving and rushing. So watch along, make your picks. Of course, make yourself a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, RACESGPN, Underdog's going to double your first deposit up to $100. Our special code. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code RACESGPN. Yes, that works for both the NASCAR and the F1 gambling podcast. RACESGPN.
It does. We're one of the lucky few that have multiple shows on the network, so we get to get a double dip on our. And it's obviously race makes it nice and easy to put it in for both of them.
Indeed. All right, Cody. Well, we asked, we got. Now we have some head-to-heads of non-teammate drivers. The first of which, well, I mean, not that they're not going to be teammates next year, but they could very well be teammates next year. They're not this year. It is George Russell and Charles Leclerc. I mean, they're not going to be teammates, but they're going to be, they're going to be sharing.
They're passing along a teammate.
Yeah, there you go. They're
from
passing
one
along
to the other.
So we got Charles Leclerc, George Russell, obviously Leclerc Ferrari, Russell Mercedes. The Leclerc side of this is at minus 175. The Russell side of this is at plus 125. Again, this is for who finishes higher in the championship standings at the end of the season. So, I mean, look, we're expecting a good season out of Russell, right? Kind of a breakout year, and maybe now with this news, this gives him a little bit of extra boost heading into a little more DRS heading into the season over Leclerc. But is it enough, Cody? Is it enough for us to want to take this at plus 125?
Honestly, this could all be a really, really huge boost for George Russell because, he's known he's gonna be the guy, right? And he's the future, and they love him, and they picked him up early, and he's shown some promise for sure. But you're never going to be the guy over the 7-time world champion. I mean, a guy like Lewis Hamilton, you're always going to be in his shadow. Well, now you know that shadow is soon to disappear, and it's going to be hanging around this year, but already you're going to start to take over those roles and take over that situation as the lead guy. Boy, do I think that he can beat Charles Leclerc out? I don't know. I'm really Ferrari showed a lot of good promise towards the end of last season. As far as like Las Vegas, we saw it at the end, and they were kind of one of the teams that could really hang with Red Bull near the end of that. Again, if they don't shoot themselves in the foot, then you would think that you're going to continue to see that grow and grow. So I think it's going to be tough to make a case for him, for Russell to finish over him. I was trying to look up their points. So Russell was 20 or what is that, 31 points behind Leclerc last year, and that was kind of a down season for Russell. I mean, we saw it the previous year where he finished, top 6 in all but 2 races, I think it was. And picked up his first win. Oh, I don't know. I don't really want to lay minus 175 with Leclerc. I think that number is too big. But is plus 125 enough to take Russell? Probably not.
Well, and so if you look at 2022, Russell finished ahead of Leclerc as well in that one. Russell finished with let's see, how many points? Actually, that was Formula One standings. Yeah, so Russell finished ahead of Leclerc by a couple of positions in 2022. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like it's difficult to want to count it out. It could be it, or maybe.
No, so Leclerc did beat Russell out.
Yeah, he did. This is
actually by the same amount of points.
Yeah. I'm sorry. This is for whatever reason that sorted it by a wrong thing. Anyways, the point being is that it is going to be difficult to try to pick Russell over Leclerc this season.
They both scored exactly 100 points less than the year before.
Isn't that weird?
That is.
Yeah.
Wow, I hadn't noticed that. Yeah, they both. So, yeah, Leclerc scored 306 in 22 and 206 in 23. And then for Russell, it was 275 in 22 and 175 in 23. That's crazy. So they finished exactly the same points apart both seasons, but 100 points swing for both of them.
Yeah, again, it's a weird. I can't see it. I can't see Russell beating Leclerc. I just think Leclerc is going, especially again, this is a matter where both of these guys are going to be benefiting from their teammates leaving after the end of the season, which means Leclerc is going to get a little more attention. Russell's going to get a little more attention. So yeah, I think if all things being equal and Leclerc has been able to hold off Russell by the same margin in both seasons, then I'm still going to give the edge to Leclerc in this one. Again, 175 is probably too much to lay, but I wouldn't hate you if you took Russell at plus 125, but still, that's a long time to type your money in that.
Even the more I think about Sainz at only minus, I think it's just a little too heavy to lay that much juice. It's again, you only pay the juice if you lose, as we know, but there is that possibility that Russell just reaches that next. I really thought he would do it this past season, and he really let us down, and maybe that was just kind of a slump, and he breaks out this season. It's possible. So, yeah, I think probably one I would stay away from just because I don't think either side of the number is really that great.
Yeah, I'm not touching that one either. All right, let's take a look at the next one that is not teammate related. We've got ourselves Fernando Alonso of Aston Martin taking on Carlos Sainz, who will not be Ferrari after the 2024 season. The books have no clue what to do with this one, and they show it. Both sides at minus 120 for the head-to-head matchup. So this is essentially a coin flip Just a matter of which side of the coin flip we're on. Honestly, I want to take the Sainz coin flip of this, but now kind of don't at the same time. I feel like maybe it is for Fernando Alonso that comes out on the other side of this, as he did last year, where Alonso finished 4th, Sainz finished 7th. So what do you think, Cody?
Yeah, I'm all in on the Sainz side of this. I know that he's kind of also in the lame duck spot. He's going to be leaving the team, but he's going to have something to prove. I mean, he's the one getting run out of town here, right? And replaced and thrown out, left to the wolves or whatever. He's going to have something to prove. And even though, Charles Leclerc, he's always been the guy that gets more from Ferrari and the guy that they're going to give you anyways. But Sainz, again, not the best season last year. He was down a little bit as well. He did finish behind Alonso by 6 points last season, but it was a very down season for him. I mean, he scored 246 back in 22, only 206 this past season. And there was a couple of times where, Ferrari'd again. Do we think? I know Aston Martin took a huge leap last year, and Alonso looked a lot better, but he had a crazy run of getting on the podium early in the season. Then it started to trail off. Do we think that, after they started hot, trailed off, do we think they found another step to step up even more where they can keep ahead of Sainz here? I just feel like that's asking a little too much. I think looking back at the end of the season, you could be like, whoa, I got a Ferrari against an Aston Martin at equal money, right? It's a little juice at minus 120, but that's what you're getting on the other side too. And it could be one of those where you're like, I can't believe this was even an option. Just maybe a little bit too much of an overreaction to this past season. So I'm all in on the Sainz side of this. I don't think I would even consider the Alonso side. I think what he did last season really impressive. But do they keep that up? Does Aston Martin continue to take a step forward and Ferrari doesn't take a step forward as well? I just don't see that happening. So give me the Ferrari side. Again, Sainz leaving, yes, but if anything, that might just light even more of a fire under his ass. And I think we'll see some solid results from him.
Yeah, I think Alonso pretty much overperformed at what he expected and what Aston Martin expected. I think that does come back down to earth a little bit this season. And, with Ferrari trying to chase down Red Bull, I mean, Aston Martin obviously is too, but I feel like they just, like I said, they sort of outshot their shot last year. And I think maybe Ferrari is going to have the better opportunity to catch back up.
Yeah, I mean, they entered that conversation, right? They put themselves in the bottom of that big group of teams because, let's be honest, right? Stroll kind of lags them down a little bit, and that's just how it is. And Alonso finished 4th. I mean, he beat both Ferraris last season. Only the 2 Red Bulls and Hamilton finished above him in the driver's standings. But again, I think that was just such an outlier, and we saw it towards the end of the season. It started to fall off, and I just don't think that Aston Martin can continue to keep up, especially where they've only got one driver that's getting the maximum out of the equipment. Stroll just isn't cutting it as far as he's not getting the most. And if you don't have both guys pushing it forward, I don't think you're going to go forward as much. And again, Ferrari's Ferrari. Now they're preparing to get Lewis Hamilton, next season. They got to get their shit together. I think that they do that a little more this season. So, yeah, I think this is one that we could look back on at the end of the season and be like, my goodness, can you believe that we got a Ferrari against an Aston Martin at only this price? I understand where, you could want to make the case for Alonso and you can want to make the case for Sainz leaving out, but this is easily the Sainz side of things for me.
Yep, I agree. And again, as we look back on it, if they gave this to us 4 months later or even a month into the season, it may not be the same. So definitely grab the Sainz part of this now while you can. And if you want to make that bet later on down the road and it's not there for us in the books, let's do that over KUTT. KUTT is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US-based and available in 40 states. Peer-to-peer social betting is brand new and a better way to bet. Bet directly against your friends or other users, not just on sports, get this, but politics, pop culture, and other events that have verifiable outcomes. Plus, it's tons of fun and social features that give it the feel of a betting social network. KUTT offers the lowest VIG too and is fully customizable odds, which means we create our own bets. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in control of our own destiny and our own betting potential. KUTT handles the payment side of things, so you never got to chase anyone down for money, which is fantastic. You got social features like group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, user profiles, fan groups, so much more, and rewards. Get cash back every single time you bet against your friends and other users. KUTT also allows you to list almost any kind of bet, which means it's perfect for getting action on those fun Super Bowl prop bets. KUTT is the peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US-based and available in 40 states. Head to KUTT.com, that's KUTT.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. Buying tickets is the worst. It is horrible. Sites gouge you. You don't know sometimes if you're going to be able to make it to the event until sometimes the day before, sometimes the day of, sometimes a couple of hours before, and you're left wondering, A, am I going to get a ticket? B, is it going to be way too expensive? C, is it going to get to me on time? D, is it even real? Oh, you see how frustrating it can get, right? Well, Gametime takes all of that stress out of buying tickets, especially for those last-minute ticket purchases. Not only are you going to get the Gametime guarantee that when you buy your Gametime tickets, they're going to be on time and authentic, but you also get lower fees, better prices, and all of it is going to be made for your phone, which means I'm not waiting for tickets to get to me in the mail. I'm not hoping that they're going to make it and not get stolen. On my phone, I just have to have the app, and all of this is taken care of for me. So snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code CFBX for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
I do want to KUTT. Man, you've got to check it out, especially if you're in a non-legal betting state. They're legal in 40 states because it's a peer-to-peer thing. It's a little bit different rules. Pretty awesome. I've got an article out with a bunch of Super Bowl props they've got over there, but this might be the perfect place. The books probably aren't going to give us, Carlos Sainz next landing spot, but you want to create that bet. You can go over. I know they had a ton when the NFL coaching thing was going on. I think I was looking yesterday, they got Sean McDermott up there. Will he be the Bills head coach on 2/11? So you could set a hard date and you can take either side of that because someone put it out there and they think he's going to get fired or they think he's going to stay. There was things with Bill Belichick on there. There was, all these different ones of, will Bill Belichick be the Commanders head coach, by a certain date or whatever. So I think a Carlos Sainz, will he be the next driver at Mercedes? Or, if you think he's going to be at Mercedes and I think he's going to go to Aston Martin, then we can put that head-to-head up there. Pretty awesome. They've got that submit your own bet feature, which is you can literally create your own bet, create your own odds, as long as somebody else is willing to take it. Oh, it's beautiful.
That is actually real. That's going to be something I think we need to do when we start going through and getting cut into the racing world. Let's make that bet. I feel
I've been having conversations with them about NASCAR. We're finalizing all that. The F1 is next on their list. They're going to get stuff out there as well for that. So go sign up for KUTT. And if you want to challenge us to something, I'm a true DJ and I'll take you up if we're on opposite sides of something. So hit me up.
I love it. And I'm going to do it too. I'll get in there and get it all situated too for when we get things going. Outstanding stuff. All right. So let's move on to the next non-teammate matchup. Another one in which the books are like, meh, we'll go 50-50 on this one as well. Obviously they want a piece of the action because both of these sides have an opportunity. That's Fernando Alonso, once again, recognizable name, over Oscar Piastri, or Oscar over Fernando. Minus 120 on either end of this as well. We already talked down Fernando and how we think this is going to be a step back season for Aston Martin, but we do think that Piastri is going to take a huge step forward in his career this year and finish much better than he did last year, which really 9th place for Piastri last season, a top 10 finish for the McLaren. Not bad at all. We know Lando's side of it was pretty big as well. Lando finished 6th. But we also think this team as a whole is going to continue to take a step up. They, too, entered that big, now 5 manufacturer conversation with Red Bull, with Ferrari, with Mercedes, with Aston Martin. They threw themselves up in that mix because Lando and Piastri were both performing very well over the course of the season. And, I mean, look, if we think that Alonso is going to take a step back, and they were only, 5 positions away from each other last year, and they're going to be closer in the conversation. I think, does Piastri kind of jump him into the top 7 to the top 6 conversation, and Alonso slips out of the top 6 or 7, and that's how we get this?
Yes, I will say, even though they were only that many spots apart, it was 109 point difference. So Alonso did outscore Piastri by a fair amount. Do not care. This is probably my favorite one on the board that I've seen so far. There's you can get Ricardo over Sonoda. It's minus 183. That is a true. You only pay the juice if you lose. I love that. I don't care what the price is on that. I love it. But I really, really like this one, especially. Again, it's that 50-50 proposition, right? Where it's the even, same money either way. Minus 120, minus 120. Love Oscar Piastri. Again, we just got done talking about, like you mentioned, Alonso and how I don't see it happening again. And we've seen the step McLaren took. I mean, we just got done talking up Ferrari, but McLaren is, Lando is second on the board as far as championship contenders odds, and the books are really high on McLaren. They're really high on Lando. Well, I love Lando and he's really talented. Piastri is maybe the next coming, right? He's the next Max Verstappen, and we start to see a glimpse of that. It could come on really, really quickly. So I love this. Give me the Piastri side all day. I don't really care what happened last year. I know that he doubled him up. Great, that's fine. I don't see that happening again this year. Piastri really, really came on strong at the end of the year. Again, kind of flipped roles, right? Alonso really strong at the beginning. Then Piastri started to really get into it. He's got that full season under his belt now, going into that strong second season. For our NASCAR listeners, it's the Ty Gibbs thing, right? He's got that full season under his belt. We already saw it in the one chance we got to see. He's going to come out and be big. Same thing for Piastri here. These generational talents, like, you got to get in on them early while you get the opportunity. And I love this for Piastri. I think that I see why they priced it at this, right? Because of the big difference last year, and Alonso's still Alonso. He's still a great driver. But yeah, give me the Piastri side of this all day.
Yeah, I'll take it as well. Again, like I said, I mean, this is a situation where I feel like Alonso is probably going to be. I mean, if he's inside the top, he's going to be inside the top 10. That's just no. But I mean, it won't be closer to the top part of that. I think it'll be toward the bottom third of the top 10. Whereas Piastri, young driver, got a long way to go up, and this is probably that season, like you said, that he sort of takes that step up, and he's got a good shot, I think, and they're both good drivers in that McLaren team, and really, again, it's just a matter of both of those guys are young, they're hungry, and they've put themselves up into that conversation, which means that I think they're going to be contenders next season as well. Now, is it the same? Can we make the same sort of argument what we did the Russell over Alonso? Not necessarily, because Russell's in Mercedes equipment. That's top 3 equipment. Whereas, we're talking about McLaren, which is top 5 equipment.
Is McLaren might? I mean, according to the books, right? The way that they've got Lando priced on all this, because I think, let me just double check on that, but I believe for the outrights, Lewis has moved up to second now, which is shocking a little bit. But yeah, it's Max, Lewis, and Lando is third on the board. And then you've got Leclerc, then you got Russell, then it's Checo all the way at 25-1. And then Alonso and Piastri are equal odds at 40-1. Ahead of Sainz is behind both of them as far as to win the championship outright, which again is a little bit of a different conversation. But yeah, I mean, it's expected that McLaren is going to be up there battling with these and be one of the top teams. And really, they were at the end of last season. And I think that continues to move forward. I think Piastri takes that massive step. So I'm all in on the Piastri side of this.
All right, well, let's stay with Piastri and let's put him against George Russell, as the books have. We got Piastri at plus 110 over this matchup with Russell. We were just talking about that minus 150. I mean, are you in with Piastri over Russell?
This one's a little tougher, right? It's not as easy. I'm definitely not taking Russell over Piastri at minus 150. That's juiced up too much for the possibility of what Piastri could do. Do I think Piastri is to that point just yet? I think he could be. Do I think he is? No, I don't know. I'm not confident enough to just do only plus 110 over Russell. I think that you've got to look at Russell, and he's a couple of years in now too. He's also extremely talented. Again, kind of shifting into that number 1 role of Mercedes. Mercedes is going to have something to prove here too. Of hey, you're leaving us, but we're still a good team, and all of that. So this is probably one I'm not going to touch. I would not take the Russell side of -150 for sure because I think the possibility is there for Piastri. Is that possibility only +110? Probably not. So I think this is one I would stay off of.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take the units I would put on this one and put it on Piastri over Alonso because I love that one.
Yeah, that's the thing. These guys finished one or back to back 8th and 9th, Russell over Piastri last season, and it's just a matter of, I know both of these guys are going to take a step up again. That was a down season for Russell, so I think it kind of, even if they do finish close in the standings, I think it'll be exactly like this, where it'll be Russell maybe a position or two ahead of Piastri. Even this is like 4-5 or even 5-6. It's going to be that close to me in that one. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. I'm staying away from this bet altogether, but I mean, again, it's going to be Russell. If they had Russell at a little bit lower of a number, we could sleep easier with that one. So let's handle that one. All right, be back with more. Let me tell you first about Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool. You're going to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets.
Rod, we're also brought to you by.
Oh, yes.
I got to throw in my own ad read. Also brought to you by the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Those guys over there are great. You should check them out. They've got a Daytona 500 contest going on. It's real simple. You just pick the winner. That's it. Go over to the YouTube, hit subscribe. Lucky for you, this show is also on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast YouTube feed. So you can watch this over there. Click the bell. We've been doing more live F1 shows. This one we didn't do live because of time constraints and whatnot. But we are doing a lot more shows live. We'll continue to do that through the season. Subscribe to that. Go over to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast Twitter feed at NASCAR Gambling. It's in the pinned tweet over there. You can also hit us up for it. Hit us up in the Discord. We'll drop it there as well. And you submit that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Put your name in there, your email. That's it. Then you pick your winner. You don't have to know anything about NASCAR. Just go look it up. You can do like our buddy Steven does. Have his daughter pick which car he thinks is going to win because it's cool looking. Whatever name you like, doesn't matter. Just pick anyone to win. Anyone can win the race. If you win, you get $100 and a $100 SGPN merch store gift card, which you can use on F1 Gambling Podcast stuff. We've got the racing gambling podcast gear over at the store there. So great contest, helps us out and helps you out.
It sure does. And man, I'm telling you right now, first and foremost, the Daytona 500 is going to be a freaking blast. So get on that one as well. And winning free merch and free money is definitely on top of that as well. So want to get in the contest.
You don't have to like NASCAR. You don't have to know nothing about it. Don't have to watch. Go just pick a random driver, put them in there. I'm telling you, literally anyone can win. We're on 3 years straight of long shots winning it, and it's probably going to keep up there.
I concur. All right, let's move on to the McLaren and the and the Ferraris. Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc teamed up.
I do want to mention real quick because I feel like we probably did touch on this, but I don't remember what the number was last week when we were doing teammates. Piastri and Norris are matched up against each other, and Piastri's plus 225. Give me a lot of that as well, please, because I think the expectations on Lando are big, but they're in the same equipment. And talent-wise, I know Lando's got the experience, but raw talent, I'm giving the edge to Piastri. I think at plus 225, that number should be bigger. So I just want to mention that. Obviously, we talked about teammates last week. Or a couple weeks ago. I don't exactly remember what the number was at then, but I wanted to point it out again because I do really like that number.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we're jumping all over Piastri if you can't tell already. So load up your Piastri cards for that. But his teammate Lando Norris is pitted against Charles Leclerc, and Lando. This is the crazy part about it. Lando is minus 175 over Leclerc at plus 125. Cody already said it that
Who would have thought?
I know, right? That Lando is up amongst the championship favorites, which obviously kind of leans into what this number is. But I'm shocked that this is minus 175 over Charles Leclerc. We're picking McLaren equipment to be faster than Ferrari this season by a long shot.
And Leclerc finished ahead of Norris last year. Now, they were 1 spot apart, 1 point apart, so it was very close. But now you're going to put the McLaren at minus 175 to the top Ferrari at plus 125? Again, I'm not trying to make this a shit on Lando by any means, because I think Lando's going to have a great season. I hope we get to see him in that celebration when he finally gets to the top of the podium. It's going to be epic. And him and Max are buddies. I know Max is going to celebrate that with him. It's going to be great, but let's pump the brakes. McLaren has been looking up for sure. McLaren is in such a great position. They've got their 2 drivers locked up for years now. I mean, these are their 2 guys going forward. They're in a great position. Their cars continue to look better, faster. Yes, but Ferrari is still Ferrari. Charles Leclerc is still Charles Leclerc. He still beat him last year, even with Ferrari still making their Ferrari mistakes. If Ferrari cleans up those mistakes, they're going to be right back there where Red Bull is, and it won't take that long for them to get there. This to me is an easy Charles Leclerc at plus 125. If you put these guys at even money, I'm still going to take Charles Leclerc's side of things, but there's definitely more of a conversation. But Norris should not be minus 175 to Leclerc, in my opinion. So yeah, give me the Leclerc side at plus 125 all day.
Yeah, it just seems a little bit ridiculous that you're juicing it up that much for a guy who, almost like Alonso in this instance, I feel like he sort of really outperformed his equipment. And is he a talented driver? Absolutely. Is he in good equipment? Absolutely. But he really did well last season. I think you capture magic or capture lightning in a bottle, as they say, and sometimes you don't do it twice. And so
even if he does do it again, which I think he can, Charles Leclerc had a down season and still was better than him with Lando having a great season. Like, I think that Charles is going to have a much better season than he did last year. And you look just 2 years ago when he was going head to head with Max in every single race for a majority of the season. I think we're going to get closer to that than going the other way.
Yeah, again, especially with the increased attention that he should be getting this season with his teammate on the way out. Let's stick with Lando Norris. Let's put him against Oscar Piastri. Oh, you already did that. That is the 2 teammates. I'm sorry. I was all paying attention to something else. Lando against George Russell is who we're putting against. So Lando against Russell. We got Lando
love is just for real.
It is for real. Minus 250 for the Lando side of this, where George Russell plus 175. This one's a little bit more of a tougher call when it comes to this, but I still think that, I'm not touching this bet first of all, because I don't know that Russell can beat Norris, but at 250, no thank you.
Yeah, 250 for sure. No, I think you could consider the Russell side of things at plus 175 if you're high on Russell this year. If you think this is, I was so high on him going into last season. He kind of burned me a little bit, so I'm not as much on him this year, but I'm scared that he's going to have what he had, or what I thought he was going to have last season, this season, potentially. But yeah, you can make the case for the Russell side of things. Again, Mercedes, they're fast. He's kind of, is he the number 1 guy at Mercedes? I don't really know how that's going to work exactly, because Lewis is still there, but he's going to get a boost. You can make the case, but this is one I probably just don't want to touch.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to break it down, because again, it's just one that's not even worth sort of putting your money on either direction. So
just to touch on the teammates again, since it's the next one on the board, Max Verstappen minus 5,000 to Checo Perez
at 18-1. That's insane.
Oh my goodness.
There's just no way. All right, and then the last one on the board that's not teammates is Oscar Piastri, which we've kind of covered in a lot of depth, over Carlos Sainz. We got Piastri at minus 138 on this one, and Sainz at plus 100. That's tough too, though.
So we just made the argument for a Ferrari over a McLaren, and you got the same thing here, but I'm going to make the argument for the McLaren over the Ferrari. Oh boy, this is priced pretty well, I would say. I as much as I do like Sainz still going into the season, I think he can have a solid season. I think Ferrari continues to take a step forward. I just think we're going to find that in the middle, right? I think that McLaren still takes a step, but I don't think it's as much Lando takes the step to Max as Piastri takes the step to Lando. And I think that's where we're going to see the big difference. And I think maybe both of them take a step, but I think that the stride for Piastri is going to be a little longer. And I think he's going to take the bigger step. Even at minus 138, I would still take this, even though it is a Ferrari pitched up against the McLaren. I do think Sainz is going to have a strong season still. And I think he's going to have something to prove for sure. But that Piastri leap that I see coming this year is just, it's too sexy to pass up on very much for him. And I think that, as far as the championship market, they've got, Piastri's well favored more than Sainz is by almost 20 points. So, I'm taking the Piastri side of this. Even at minus 138, I think this is an okay price to land on someone who should continue to take that step forward. They're obviously, and if we're wrong on the Lando side, if we're wrong on McLaren does take a huge step and Lando shows up big, then Piastri is going to go with them, and Ferrari's still Ferraris, then you catch this even easier. But I think you can definitely still hit, Leclerc over Lando, but yet get Piastri over Sainz. I don't think that it has to be just one way or the other with the manufacturers. I think you could still hit both of these. So I do like Piastri over Sainz at minus 138.
And honestly, it's a much better proposition than minus 250 for Lando over Russell. Like, there's just no way. Yeah. That's not a lot of juice. You're only drinking a little tiny bottle of juice rather than the whole 3-gallon bucket that you're drinking.
And hey, if you're listening to this, you're all in on Alonso this year and you want to take Alonso over Piastri, hit me up. We'll get KUTT to offer that, and I would love to take your action on that, because I'm just, man, the Piastri love is big this season, and I think that he's going to continue to take that step. I think generational talent that we're going to see in him, and I think that step's coming.
Yeah, I feel like the head-to-head duel between him and Verstappen is coming. It's just a matter of when, not if. So yeah, I love it. All right, well, that'll do it for those. I mean, we've got a ton more to get to now. The books have started to give us a little bit more here and there. So
I think we might be a weekly show again for till the season now, because we're only a month away. We're not far out, and we've got plenty of stuff to talk about.
Indeed, we do. So, yep, we definitely did enough damage today. So we'll go ahead and let you go on this one. But yeah, keep an eye out. All we're going to turn into weekly again. We're coming back each and every week with different odds and different props for you guys to get down on as the season winds up and gets ready to go green in Bahrain when we kick off. So, all right, Cody. Well, as we allow everyone to go, remind everybody where they can find you on social media.
Yep, follow me on the X at @Husker_Zeeb. Find all my work over there. And check us out. If you want to watch us on YouTube, go over to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast YouTube. These videos always make their way over there. Again, we'll go live a lot more often on this show as well over there. And of course, we've got all the NASCAR stuff, doing most of that live these days as well. So check it out, and let's go back again next week and do it all over.
Indeed. Follow me on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review. I got some WrestleMania stuff coming out, actually. It's not too early to think about it. And then, of course, some Niner stuff coming up on the big thing. Arena Football Podcast, whatever. I'm out. I think I live online at this point. But find me on Twitter where you can see it all at RJ Villagomez. All right, we'll be back next week with more F1. If you're fancy wanting to go on some NASCAR, we're there every day. We got Ryan from Win the Race coming on the show today. If you're listening to this on on the day that it's released on Tuesday, if not, go back, look at it. It's there.
Monday.
So
I think it's Monday.
Today is Monday. Holy
all
shit.
day.
I'm behind. Look at what weekend does.
Well, we had a show yesterday for NASCAR, so it feels like a Tuesday. I don't know. What are days anymore? Does it really matter?
No, it doesn't. But what does matter is you. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.